So it's getting kind of late here on a weekend, but I just got one more trade in. This third mower I had sold today. Actually, somebody brought one of them back just because it wasn't working for them, and I gave them the offer just because I knew that I could resell it if I wanted to. But this one right here is a Murray. It's a big wheel Murray. I get a lot of these in. This is a very common mower that I get traded. A lot of times they have the smaller engine on them. This one's actually got the 5.75 horsepower, which I think the horsepower ratings are just relative on these things, but they just slap an engine cover on them. Never had a 5.75 horsepower engine cover, but it's a 2-in-1. She said that it was hard to start last year, and she couldn't get it started this year, so just wanted to start new and traded me one for just a little cheap 20-inch new mower. Looks to be in decent shape though. It's got the throttle cable and everything on it too. And you'll like to know what year they're made in, so let's see if I can find it for us. I think it's going to be under the engine cover here, so I'll have to pass on that for right now. Might not even have to take the engine cover off of it, but these are usually made around the late 90s, maybe around the year 2000, roughly. Upon first inspection, I'm looking at it, and it looks like the primer bulb's pretty rough. I don't know if it's priming, but we'll find out. Might have some old gas in it too. But let me get a screwdriver, and I'll break it open and see what's looking at the deck real quick. Blade looks rusty, but it looks to be in decent shape. And it is, for what I can tell, the most part. Just clean it out, sharpen the blade up. Oil's actually full and it's clean, so probably won't even have to worry about that. Actually, almost looks like it might be too full, but it might have been just because I moved or tilted the mower back. Let me get in here and see what we got. So, got it down here in the test bed. It does prime. Let's see if I can show that to y'all. At least it was. So let me actually see if it'll crank for us. So, gas smells fresh. I know it's getting fuel as long as there's no water in the fuel, which we're going to test right here because I'm going to put some starter fluid in there. That should be enough. Let's see if it'll kick over now. So, I know it's getting gas, and I just kicked starter fluid in there. So then there's only one of two things it can be. And one of them's a coil, which I just did on a Craftsman. The other's a spark plug, so we're going to take it back up there and see if we can get the spark plug out and see if it's getting spark. Definitely going to replace the primer bulb. Air filter is clean. So, hopefully it'll be an easy fix here. Hopefully it's just a spark plug. But we'll find out. This is one of the reasons why I don't really work on them for people, because she described the symptoms of it kind of wanted to start last year and then it didn't want to start this year. And so I suspect carburetor. And I could say, yeah, I could try and fix it for you, but I think it's the carburetor and it's not, as we just tested out. And then maybe it's not the spark plug, maybe it's a coil problem that I can't fix very easily, or may not have the ability to fix. So it's kind of why I like going the trade route and get a little money for them. They get a newer, better mower a lot of times, and I have the ability to take my time to fix these versus having somebody breathing down my neck or whatever, trying to get their mower back because they've got to cut the grass, since grass cutting season's here in North Carolina at least, even though it started a little bit slower this year because of the cool or pretty cold March that we had. So let me take it back up there, let's test the spark plug and continue. So got it back up here. The plug is definitely wet. There's a couple of drops of gas there, whatever, that fell on the deck there when I took it out. Actually kind of smells a little bit like water, so I'm wondering if there's a little bit of water in the fuel that needs to be burned off, if it's able to. So I know it's definitely not getting spark. So what I usually do a lot of times is just take some, it's very crude, but when it's only me and I'm trying to figure out spark to make sure, ain't gonna kill anybody, although I don't recommend it. Put some starter fluid directly onto the plug. A lot of times it cleans it off for us. So I'll take the plug off here real quick. I do this with 2 hands. And just spray starter fluid on it. And then I actually go back there and crank it up. I mean, it's just a little bit of starter fluid. It ignites and it burns off really quickly. So actually I'll leave the camera right there, see if we have spark. Sometimes you get a nice little flame when that happens. That shows that you have really good spark, but I have a feeling that this plug might be fouled. It's just a little difficult. Let me actually grab these. And we'll test and see if I can visually see it with spark. So there's definitely no spark out of this. So let me actually try and find another plug, because this one right here seems a little worn. I suspect, hopefully it's not. Hopefully this is easy, but I suspect it might be another coil problem. So let me find another plug first real quick though, and see if it's sparking. And if it is, great. If it's not, all the grounding mechanism stuff is good. That shouldn't have any problem. So let me find a spark plug. Hopefully it's a spark plug and not the coil. Save me from taking apart the mower, but we'll find out. So I've tested, this is the original plug that it's older but I know is good. And then a plug that I really know is good, that's brand new. None of which have spark on them. So fortunately it does look like a coil problem, and it might just be a coil problem, like a clearance problem. Daylight's gone away from me today, so I'll pick this back up when the sun comes up tomorrow. So I got everything off here. I think it's just a little bit of stuff, residue and whatnot on the flywheel. The flywheel is decently scored just from, I guess, use and the blade break and stuff like that. The flywheel seems to be the coil seems to be gapped pretty well. So I think hopefully it's just going to be a matter of cleaning off the contacts on the flywheel and cleaning off the edge of the coil there, because you can see it's a bunch of dirt and grime and mess on it. So hopefully it's not a bad coil. Hopefully everything just needs to be cleaned. I'm just taking a wire brush. I'm just going to clean off kind of the residue and stuff on the flywheel. And hopefully get some clean contacts and everything will run the way that it should. 2 1/4-inch nuts. You can take a business card to gap the flywheel. Usually what I do is I try and get it as close to the flywheel without it actually making contact with the flywheel. So that's what I usually do with that. So right now I'm just cleaning off the contacts, like I said, with a wire brush here, and I'll take that coil off and clean it as well, because there's a bunch of residue on it, so that's probably not good for it. And put it back together and see if it'll run for us. So I got the coil off. I've cleaned off the flywheel, and the flywheel's got magnetization still, whatever you want to call it. So pretty sure the flywheel's good considering how the coil looks. And if you look at the coil, it's got gunk and goo all over where the contacts are supposed to be to get spark. So I'm going to take my wire brush and I'm going to clean that off as well and put it all back together. I just wanted to give you all a visual as to what this coil looked like. Very dirty, so almost positive, hopefully I don't eat my words, that this is the problem for it. And 10 seconds with the wire brush and the coil's contacts are clean again. So now it's time to put it back on. Again, your spacing, you can use a business card, or what I usually do is I just try and get it as close to the flywheel as I can without touching it. That usually does the job for me. And just put your covers and stuff back on, which I've shown y'all how to do plenty of times. Pretty easy. Your 4 bolts that hook into the engine, and then you got your 3 bolts that hook on to the engine cover, 3/8" bolt that holds the side of the gas tank. So I'm going to do all that and see if we can crank this thing up and let it run. So I don't know how well I can do this with 2 hands, but I do now have spark coming from this. I'm going to try and pull this. Hopefully I can keep it up on the ground or something so y'all can see it. It's not very easy to do when you're by yourself, but let me see if I can keep it right there. Or you might just have to take my word for it that it's got spark. Because it's not really a good way to... Oh, let me try that. Should be able to see it. Should be able to see it there. And just cleaning the coil, fix that up. So now I'm going to finish reattaching the gas tank. We're going to take it down there and run it for a little while. Alright, so here we go. We have spark now. And like I said, I am going to replace the primer bulb because the primer bulb's a little worn on it. There's probably about 4 or 5 times there. ago. So that was it. But hey, it's running on its own. I do need to throttle it down some, so I'm going to do that by just pushing that back a little bit. Maybe find a better clamp. But it's almost like something's locked down on it and I can't figure out what it is, so I actually might take the engine cover back off just to look under it. As you can see, it hasn't really been running in a while, so it's smoking a little bit, but at least we know we have spark. And yeah, I got something going on with the carburetor linkage or something like that with the governor. So I'll take that back, I'll take that off. If there's anything interesting, I'll put it on the lid, on this video, and I will continue working on it, and we're gonna have a good mower here, y'all. So here this one is cleaned up. It cleaned up extremely well. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. Originally I was thinking I'd get 64 with the throttle cable and everything. Throttle works like it's supposed to and all that. It's probably is going to be a $70 mower for what I'm going to list it for. Turned out really, really well. So just sharpen the blade. The air filter was already clean. The oil was clean. So you don't have to worry about any of those, fixing any of that. So it was great. Just that coil and giving it a nice little clean. Turn a little bit of profit on it, which is great. So I'll show y'all final start here, as long as there's not too much water in it. Have to be careful of and washing it. Sometimes you're going to get some water in the fuel and take a little bit to get going, but see here, it's running pretty good. So that's that one. I'll throttle it down if you want to. Down, which is a plus, but so there's another good one. Hopefully I'll get a couple more trades in. They're really moving. I'm on pace, actually a little bit ahead of pace from last year on selling stuff, so hoping to get them all gone by, the goal is to get them gone by July 4th. If I can get them gone by Memorial Day, it'll be a big plus. But again, thank y'all for the support. Thank y'all for watching. I realize I'm very close to 500 subscribers if I'm not already there. So appreciate all the support. Thank you for your likes and your comments. I'll continue posting new content as I get it. Hoping to have an update video coming next week. So be on the lookout for that. Until next time.